Goten and Trunks is stronger than you think. Now, there's a common misconception when it comes to how strong Goten and Trunks are. A lot of people say, them as Super Saiyans, are they able to defeat Frieza back in the Namek arc? And a lot of people claim that Frieza will probably defeat them. Now, this is a little bit tricky because ultimately, when it comes to the power of the Super Saiyan, we have gotten, I will say, two different types of information about achieving the power of Super Saiyan. And it even goes back to a lot of these videos about if Bardock was to achieve Super Saiyan against, Frieza and how strong he would be. Now, before Dragon Ball Super came out and we got these things about like S cells, and that's the reason for the Universe 6 Saiyans for are so able, and even Goten and Trunks, they have way more S cells, and that's kind of like what gives them the power to transform into a Super Saiyan. But the thing is, originally, you did have to be at a certain power level as well to be able to achieve the Super Saiyan transformation. Now, a lot of people look at Goten and Trunks and they kind of downplay how strong they are, and even just the whole Super Saiyan, in general, it pretty much got lowballed at some point. Especially after we got Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3, a lot of new transformations came in, and it kind of lowballed the transformation a little bit. But and that's just kind of a natural thing that Dragon Ball tends to do as a increase in power. But the thing is with this is that when you look at Goten and Trunks, they're hybrids. And this was the main thing that Vegeta went back to state way back in the past about, the hybrid Saiyans and stuff like that. Even when we got, Gohan, and see how powerful he was and is able to keep up with all the Z fighters at 4 years old, and even surpassing all the training that they did in that 1 year waiting for Nappa and Vegeta by the time he got to Namek, and continue to surpass anything that they have done in all those years that they had training. So the same will still be for Goten and Trunks. Now, granted, we know Gohan has the hidden power, which is not just contributed to him just being a hybrid Saiyan, but Gohan definitely has some special hidden powers that make him a little bit abnormal, similar to like Broly a little bit, but in his own way. And we didn't get to see any of that with characters like Goten and Trunks, but they still retain being a hybrid Saiyan and being born with high power levels. And as strong as Goku and Vegeta was at the time, Goten and Trunks was born, they definitely would be able to have like a higher potential of power. Given that Goten will probably have an even higher potential, seeing that he was born after the fact of Goku training in the hyperbolic time chamber with Gohan and receiving the power of Master Super Saiyan, which is grade 4. Now, for Trunks, he was born a little bit before, Vegeta learned to transform Super Saiyan, but they definitely had a high, peak in power from that time frame that he was born compared to this natural Saiyans, and even Gohan to say. So the thing is with this is that when we look back at a character like, Goten and Trunks, and seeing them become Super Saiyan so young, it's actually a great feat because they're very powerful. Now, the thing is with Goten and Trunks is that they are not training as hard as a Goku and Vegeta are, or even how Gohan had to do at the time of him growing up. Even though Chi-Chi was still kind of like, training Goten behind Gohan's back, but you also have Vegeta training Trunks here and there who will do certain trainings. But even then, I don't think Vegeta was really pushing Trunks to be like, really, like going crazy with the training with him. And on top of that, you got to remember a character like Gohan, who had to train for not even a full year possibly, but also had to be battle tested and go straight into like different combats with the Saiyans, and then going to Namek and fighting the Frieza Force and the Ginyu Force and all these other people, and Frieza himself and Vegeta. So that's a little bit different of Gohan having that experience real young and Goten and Trunks not having that experience. So yes, it's a big possibility that Goten and Trunks could be stronger than Frieza, but Frieza would definitely win because, for one, them being not battle ready, and Frieza having way more experience, and them being kids, Frieza would definitely have the advantage and still very durable at this point, and will definitely put up a fight to, like, defeat Goten and Trunks, because at the time of them being kids, they never showed that rage that Gohan had. If Gohan had that power, that would be a different story. But seeing that Goten and Trunks, and that's another reason why they was not asked to come to the Tournament of Power, even though they're way more stronger than a person like, Tien and Master Roshi, of course. But just the experience in the battle, they probably wouldn't have survived as long, seeing that they didn't really have, any real battles besides fighting Majin Buu, and that's only as a fusion of Gotenks, which we could only imagine how long that would last if there wasn't a Tournament of Power. But the thing is too, like I said, if Goten and Trunks was to actually, do some heavy training with like Goku and Vegeta, like how Gohan had to train and like do a year in the hyperbolic time chamber with Goku or something like that, it'd probably been a big difference, especially if they had more battles. They probably would have been more ready. It's not really that they don't have the power, but they just don't have the experience. And that's the thing about Goten and Trunks. But ultimately, they're definitely way stronger than what you think, and you can definitely see this when you look at them fighting Buu, because if they was to fuse, there's no way if they was weaker than Frieza that they would be as powerful even with fusion.